Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Ben Hansen, joined by two lads from lovable Germany here. Calling in from Gamescom all the way across the world, we have Ben Reeves.
Hello.
And Cyril Vasquez.
Hello.
Lovely. All right, so these guys are calling in right now to talk about all the cool stuff they're seeing at Gamescom, which is over there in Germany. Big convention, so Cyberpunk, Sekiro, DMC5, RE2, good stuff like that. And then the audio quality is going to get a lot better because we're getting some real human beings on this table for the second half, talking about playing Diablo on Switch, Yakuza Kiwami 2, Darksiders 3, Guacamelee 2, let's see, Don't Nod's new game, Jump Force, a lot of fun stuff in there. And then back half of the show, it's going to be emails. It's a funky structure this week, but stick with us. I think you'll like it. Okay, for now, you guys, how's Gamescom going?
It's German.
It's very German.
Is this your first time there?
Weary-eyed German experience.
Yeah. They speak another language here. It's weird.
This never happened before, but French dude did not understand if I was from the UK or from the US.
Really? Well, I think that'd be really hard if you didn't speak English.
I guess. I don't know, yeah.
Did you shame him for this?
I'm just pretending I'm the president.
Okay, perfect. Is it a big show? How does the show feel compared to other years? Reeves, I feel like you're there every year.
Yeah, not every year, but I've been here several years, and this is probably the biggest event. I think they said attendance could top out over 500,000.
Okay.
Which is insane. Like, that's bigger than most towns, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, it's been a massive show.
It's way bigger than E3, like sheer size. It's like walking around, there's like two separate halls. Basically, there's a business area and there's an entertainment area. And basically, the entertainment area, anytime I went there, was like a complete just cluster. There's people walking every which way. Like escalators were broken and people were still lining up for them. It was a lot of people went.
Cyril Vasquez, out of the gate. Let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077. What did you see? What was the demo like compared to E3?
It was more or less the same one as the one from E3, except they made a couple of minor decisions that led to some interesting scenes. So the first one that I noticed was that they went and drank a can of cola out of the vending machines, and that they sort of confirmed that it's gonna, if you find one of those, you'll have a healing item. But sort of the big one was, if you've heard anything about that demo, there's basically at some point a job in which you're tasked with sort of retrieving a piece of military-grade equipment from a group called Miller
Light.
Miller Light from the Miller Light group. They're talking about mega corporations, man. So basically, you're trying to retrieve it for basically what's like a corporation. Basically, they've taken over the world. And so they give you, sort of as part of your bartering process with them, they give you this chip that is worth sort of 50,000 eddies, which is the currency they have in that world.
Cool name.
Yeah, it's short for the euro dollar.
Right. Okay.
So in the E3 demo, sort of their thing was that they gave the chip to the bad guys, but it also had a virus in it that sort of when they tried to access it, it killed the guy who was trying to earn those credits in their account through the transfer. So that killed that guy, and so that caused all of the enemies to turn on you. And so that is sort of how they started showing off the combat stuff. So in the demo that we saw, it was more or less that exact path, except for during that exchange where you're talking to sort of the bad guys, you give them the chip and you tell them this chip is wired to have a virus that'll kill the guy who uses it. And so they get pissed off, but they're sort of, all right, well, since you were honest with us, here's the robot for free. Get the hell out.
We'll let you go. Yeah.
And so as you're leaving, sort of Jackie, sort of your partner character, tells you like, here's this grenade I've got. Do you want me to throw it? And so we agreed to throw the grenade, and it basically clears the room, and you have the chip and the robot, sort of the thing you were trying to get.
Right.
And so from there, it sort of converges back into the sort of, hey, here's some of the combat stuff. But yeah, like that demo is still super impressive. Like they talked a little bit more about sort of how the world is sort of a little bit more interactive. It has people from all sorts of walk of life, and how you can sort of, obviously they did this one quest, but there's obviously a ton of stuff to do. The second time around, I feel like the partner character Jackie, some of his dialogue is a little like, it's sort of a little too bro-y, and parts of it like.
Does he still
What's up?
say, "I've got news as big as my balls"?
That is still his catchphrase. Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
He wakes up in the morning.
Yeah. They announced
Checks
that
Twitter and says
the
it.
I've got a headache as big as my balls this morning.
right. They're gonna call it Cyberpunk : as big as my balls. But like sort of the other thing that like specifically irked me was sort of the way they try to let you know like this character happens to be Latino, which is sort of like the very basic like, hey, I'm gonna say this English sentence, but one of these words is gonna be swapped out for a Spanish one.
Yeah.
So that stuff is kind of irksome, especially since he says like poquito, which means like little bit.
Right.
So you would think like, oh, maybe he doesn't know what little means. But then there's a line later on where he just says little. So it's one of those things where they're very obviously trying to tell you this character is Latino, but they kind of do it in a clumsy way.
Right.
That demo is still really cool, like very impressive. Just seeing like the audiovisual stuff, which is like it's hard to describe like if you've just seen screenshots, but like I can't stress enough how much I like the aesthetic they're going for and how well they nailed sort of how dense cities can be and also use the cyberpunk aesthetic without sort of making like it seem like everything here is technology, right? Because obviously you're not going to have a need for like virtual ticket tape. Like they still have parts of it that look like here's just some buildings that people built that are just made of solid,
love it,
brick and plaster. So yeah, still a really impressive demo. Not as different as we were maybe expecting, but some of the choices are different.
Okay, that seems all right. Was there any interesting presentational notes from CD Projekt Red? Did they set things up? Did they say anything about the state of the project? Anything like that?
Not really. I feel like they were just kind of reiterating a lot of their E3 sort of talking points for this demo, just so the European press could get a look at it.
They didn't give us a lot of time to talk to them. They're kind of like, get out of here.
Yeah, here's the survey. Tell us how we did. It's very important. Get out.
Okay, I was going to ask about the survey because they were pushing that so hard at E3, so they're still eager for any sort of feedback on this thing.
Yeah, so I don't think any of that feedback has been implemented into this demo, but obviously I'm guessing because it is the same demo, they probably haven't had time to do that.
Right.
But yeah, they were very adamant about like, please, it is very important to us that you evaluate what you thought of the demo, give us any specific notes.
And I told them I prefer a modern day setting, so I think they might be changing that now.
Yeah. Just changing it to Punk 2018.
Yeah. I just wrote down Witcher 4 and gave it to them.
Did they give, so there were no hints about when this demo is going to be shown publicly, anything like that?
No, they said it was like, they were very adamant about not recording it at all.
I'm surprised it hasn't come out yet. Usually that stuff comes out like a week or two after E3.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool that it hasn't, but at the same time, it's weird.
And
your audio cutout reads
like a work in progress. It feels super polished.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a thing where it's like, well, this text is placeholder. Some of these effects might not be final. It looks super polished, but obviously they would probably know more than we do on that.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Jeff Cork. Jeff Cork is also here.
What?
Oh, yeah, come on.
You've been something.
High school senior smoking in the back alley.
Hey, Jeff Cork, what'd you think of Life is Strange 2?
I played it, and I thought it was fun.
Yeah, so it's like...
House made a lot of interesting choices, like... I didn't get to drink a soda, but I put soda in a bag.
A lot of soda at Gamescom. This sounds great. What about, so it's like two brothers going on a big old journey across the country?
No, from Seattle to Mexico.
All right.
So across part of it.
That's basically it. That's a cool... What's that, Riz?
The vertical part of the country.
That's right. And so it's interesting thinking about, like, Life is Strange. It was great. It definitely reused a lot of environments. Like, all right, you're going to be at the school. You're going to be at this place, yada, 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 the diner, all that stuff. So it's interesting, like, having this travel game now where, all right, we got to keep things moving. It's going to be a completely new forest the entire way down.
You recycle a lot of the places you go to in real life. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. But feeling good about it?
Folks too, yeah.
This is good. I like this dynamic of the delay plus we can't see you. That lands really well. So let's keep that going.
You wouldn't understand how well it's playing because it's cutting in and making jokes, but also the audio's cutting in and out, so it is 100% decipherable for the listeners and viewers.
Like it.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, but you seemed excited about Biomutant in particular, huh?
Yeah. The last time I saw that was when they revealed it at Gamescom last year, and it's been one of those games that they have not really talked about much, if at all, since then. And I don't know why, because it looks fantastic. Like incredibly polished demo. There's just a ton of stuff to do. Like in the demo that I saw, you built a mech and sucked up these little creatures that you could then fire at enemies and distract them, and use a pump to move stuff out of the way. It's like a really charming and really, really weird, but weird in a good way, not a like, hey, look how weird we are, guys, kind of a thing.
Right.
It's just
so
very interesting.
The setup for this thing is it's like a former Avalanche developers, Just Cause team. Is it an open world action RPG? Is that the framing for this, or how would you?
World action RPG, yeah, for sure. There's like some Devil May Cry's, Batman, Arkham Asylum style combat with like counters and combos and fairly deep like weapon crafting and loot system. It's got a really cool art style. There's a narrator who talks over everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Or pipes in from time to time. Yeah, and it just looks really weird.
And you're
it's
like
cool.
you're a freaky animal that can like modify your body, right? Is that also the hook?
How dare you?
No, in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah.
Okay, goodbye, Shadow.
He's a shadow.
Being sucked up into the wall.
Ben Reeves, you got to play this thing.
Yeah, Serial was hanging out, and you played it too, right?
Yeah, I played it. as
Yeah,
well.
okay.
Oh, fantastic. What'd you think?
It was cooler than I expected. I'm not like a huge Souls guy. I played through Dark Souls 2, and Bloodborne, and that was kind of the extent. I didn't like obsess over that series after that. But this one has me intrigued because I'm a huge stealth fan.
Yeah.
And so the element of stealth adds a lot and helps me out because I can sneak up on enemies and take them out in one shot, which is really nice. But it still has that like very deliberate Souls-ish combat. And it's very haunting atmosphere, very creepy, very scary. But yeah, I thought it was cool. I don't know what you thought, Serial.
Yeah, I think that it is. I'm a little tentative about this, but it feels sort of like as big of a shift from Bloodborne and as Bloodborne was to Dark Souls, in that you have to rethink sort of how you approach encounters. So in Dark Souls,
honestly, maybe a bigger shift even.
Yeah, like because it felt like at first they were like, this is going to play a little differently, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. You press speed roll, the attack buttons are sort of on the shoulder buttons, yeah, whatever. But it does feel like you have to be even more aggressive than you were in Bloodborne. So like in Dark Souls, it was a lot of like block and wait for them to attack, and then sort of counterattack once you block the attack. In Bloodborne was more about like dodge out of the way. If you get hit, be aggressive because you can get your health back.
Yeah.
And in this one, like you have to watch your opponent's attacks very specifically because sort of the best way to deal with enemies is to deflect their attacks. So you basically have to press a deflect move like a parry, and they have this parry bar basically. And so if you parry or hit them, that bar increases. And if it maxes out, they sort of stagger, and you basically land a critical hit on them.
Yeah, you can kill them in one shot.
Right.
Bosses kind of take multiple.
Right.
They call it the posture bar. So you fill up that posture bar, they stagger, and you stab them once or twice.
Right. And that also applies to you. So if they like you have that bar as well. So if an enemy deflects your attack, that can build up. And so if you get hit enough in a row, or if they deflect one of your attacks, you can get staggered and have them deal a bunch of damage to you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But if you die in combat, you can resurrect yourself. And we got to experiment with that, which is actually pretty cool because you can intentionally die and then enemies will start to disperse. And then you can choose to resurrect and like jump up behind them and kill them stealthily. Or usually catch an enemy off guard. I caught a sub-boss off guard that way and was able to take him out because he turned his back on me. So that was pretty cool. The other unique difference with this game is you're a one-armed ninja character, and so you have these set of prosthetic arms, and each one is very different. They've only showed off 3 so far, but there's going to be like a whole swath of them. Then they do different things. Like one of them shoots out a bunch of shurikens. One of them is like this giant axe that breaks shields. One of the ones I really liked and messed around with for a while was this firearm, which shoots off a sort of a fiery blast. And you can combo each arm, and each arm does a different combo. So like with the firearm, if you combo that with your sword attacks, your sword lights on fire, and some enemies are weak to fire, so that's like another good way to take an enemy's health down.
Yeah, awesome.
Is cool, and like all those upgrade, they didn't go into detail on, there's no souls system in this game, but they did say that there's a reason to be killing enemies, because you earn something is what it sounds like, and then you'll use that to upgrade your character.
Yeah.
So it's different than the soul system, but there is something there.
Right. One very Soulsy thing is that there are the checkpoints are integrated into the world, and if you access them, it'll sort of respawn all the enemies, but it'll save, and then you have like a limited amount of potions that when you use those save points, it restocks you basically. So it does feel like one of those games, but I like that they are constantly feeling the need to say, let's not just make another one of these. Let's introduce sort of like a big enough twist that even people who are familiar with the combat of this game will have to adapt in like these major significant ways.
Yeah, that sounds great. Was Miyazaki there? Did you shake his hand or anything crazy?
He wasn't there, no.
No. Yeah, or at least we didn't get to talk to him.
Like a producer, and I think I put a couple quotes up online interviewing him, and then our hands-on impressions are online as well.
Yeah,
cool.
We also did a video shoot.
Yeah, we shot some video, so hopefully
it's Surreal playing, so make fun of him.
That's right. I died a lot. That game is hard.
Yeah, so there's going to be a new gameplay today, hopefully by Friday up on Game Informer's site. We also have footage of Surreal playing DMC5.
Yeah.
That's up right now.
Speaking of characters with one arm,
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 5, basically, we played as Nero, who is sort of like the character introduced in 4, who has now one arm, because he used to have the Devil Breaker, or the Devil Bringer, but now he lost that, and so now he has like a line of robotic arms called Devil Breakers.
Perfect.
And so this basically works like it's basically an extra ability you have that has a limited number of uses. So the two that we had in our demo was one of them basically was like an electric shock that you could use to sort of really like finish off enemies or deal a lot of damage, and the other one was this. I don't remember what the name of it was, but it was basically this thing that gave you extra aerial maneuverability when you used it in the air, and so that let you sort of like attack a couple times, sort of dodge in the air and attack again. And so these have limited uses, and when you run out of uses, your arm just like straight up like explodes, and you don't have an arm. But you can still use sort of like the key ability that Nero had in 4, which is using his arm to sort of reel in enemies that are small and sort of like lunge at enemies that are like larger. Yeah. So like boss characters, you grapple towards. It's not as intricate as it was in DMC, where you can just do it independently of whatever size the enemy was.
Yeah.
But like it felt great. Like I being able to string that stuff into combos, and obviously they have sort of a Devil May Cry staple, which is like attack. And if you pause, sort of like if you hold off on pressing the next button, he'll do a different attack. So it's like basically 2 buttons in one, depending on how long you hold the button down or whatever. There's a character called Nico who's going to be your shopkeeper, and she was sort of this very like she had like this very thick Southern accent and was kind of like giving Nero a lot of shit. It's a really fun like dynamic that those two characters have. The camera is sort of it's more closely in line with DMC than it was with like Devil May Cry 4, which kind of used those sort of Resident Evil-esque sort of established shots that you kind of ran around in, versus this just follows the character from a behind the back perspective. And so I got to talk to them a little bit, and they said that like the biggest they took that away from DMC a little bit, and they also took away some of the stylish effects. Like they really talked up how stylish DMC was, and they basically said like, we want a piece of that. We want to like adapt some of that stuff. So like some of the slow-mo kills are in there. Like obviously the camera's a little different. The way music is integrated into combat is different basically. So as you do better and better combos, the music starts to layer on, which is really it's a really cool effect.
Yeah. That was the coolest part I thought, is like as you did better, your score increased, the music increased and swelled more. Yeah. And I wasn't playing, so we didn't get to hear the really good music, but it did seem like it got cooler and better. Yeah. And then worse a lot.
Got it.
Yeah.
So overall, Stereo, like it plays better than you thought. Did you leave with a hot impression here?
I think sort of my biggest question going into it is that with Bayonetta having been around, and basically the entirety of Bayonetta has taken place in the absence of like a Japanese developed Devil May Cry game.
Yeah.
So
that is weird to think about.
So I was curious to see how these two would differ, and it's hard to sort of, even after playing it, it's hard to sort of pinpoint where those differences lie. But I feel like, okay, after having played a new Devil May Cry game, I feel like these are two distinct series now. Even if I can't like exactly tell you sort of like the math of why, I feel like Devil May Cry like has earned its place as sort of distinct from Bayonetta and other games like God of War, especially since God of War is so different now.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that like sort of my biggest concern was like how common ammo for those arms will be, because basically if you use them all, you're basically going to be out like one of the game's like biggest strengths. And they said like they want you to have it as often as possible, but think about like on a per counter basis, think about like, okay, I can use this thing maybe X more times.
Yeah.
And there's just sort of like, they give you every incentive to try to use it, because at the end you're sort of scored based on your combos and how much damage you do it, how quickly you did it. But you're not scored on how many of those arms you had left.
Yeah.
So basically any arms you didn't use are basically combos and damage that you left on the table. So you want to use those as much as possible, because you talked about sort of the problem of like, when I'm playing an RPG, I end up with like 99 elixirs because I never use any of them. So I want to incentivize players to use these arms as often as they have them.
Use your arms, everybody. That's how you play games these days.
Arms.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Well, yeah.
That sounds great. Resident Evil 2, Reeves, what did they show? Was it different than E3?
Yeah, it was different than E3. It was we actually got to see Claire, whereas they only showed Claire in trailer form at E3, and so this time we got a player campaign.
Cool.
And I talked to the developers a little bit about to kind of clarify some of the stuff. They just reiterated, there's two campaigns, Claire and Leon. Both are different. There's maybe a little bit of overlap between environments, but they're very distinct campaigns. They kind of want to reiterate that.
And you're choosing it from the main menu.
Sorry, what?
You're choosing Claire or Leon from the main menu. It's like a classic A scenario, B scenario.
Right, and it's one of those things where like the campaigns don't necessarily. If you play, I even asked them this: is there like an order you should play them in? And they were like, no, it doesn't matter which order you play them in, but you should definitely play them both because they're different, and they don't like feed into each other. But Claire will go to the police station, for example, but it might be different than when Leon goes because she goes at a different time.
Right. They said like they'd have different puzzles and different encounters for both of the campaigns, and I think they said that you like playing one doesn't lock you out of the other, so you can basically like stagger playing both of them. Basically, play one and then the other, and then one and then the other. Is what I believe they told us.
Right.
Oh,
so I played as Claire, and it was really only one encounter, but it was a massive encounter. It was with William Birkin. If people remember him from the first game, he kind of turns into a crazy mutant beast, a G-human, as they kind of call it in the lore. And he has a giant eyeball on his shoulder, like Suriel does.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't show it. But it's I don't know, how long did that kind of take me? Like 10 minutes? Like it was a boss-like encounter. And they loaded me up with a grenade launcher and a bunch of ammo for a semi-automatic machine gun. And I was in this warehouse area. The pipes were sort of bursting, and he kept like jumping out of the shadows. And it was a pretty intense firefight, but it was a lot of fun actually.
Yeah, so that encounter is in the original?
That character is in the original, and you fight him in the game. But the encounter definitely plays out very differently because now it's a third-person over-the-shoulder shooter. And there were some cutscenes in the game too where you encounter Sherry, who is also in the original game.
Yeah.
But definitely all the cutscenes have been completely redone, new voiceover.
Rescripted, yeah.
Yeah, rescripted and more elaborate.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, not to like a Twin Snakes degree, I'd hope.
I mean, not as ridiculous as Twin Snakes,
okay,
no. But yeah.
But it definitely feels like they went back through the like they didn't like, hey, let's touch up the script. It felt like more like here's the direction, here are the events that happen in this scene. Let's rewrite the entire thing. So a lot of the dialogue feels way more natural, and I think it's delivered really well. Like a lot of like the facial animation and voice acting, I think is super good.
Oh, good.
They win.
Well, like for a Capcom, I'm not saying like it's Academy Award winning, but like. It is a lot better than you remember.
This could win an Academy Award.
Yeah, I'm actually nominating. I'm on the Academy Award committee, and I'm nominating it myself.
Best, most popular game.
That's right.
But they went and they found new actors and scanned in their faces digitally, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Claire looks really good.
Yeah.
Leon looked really good.
Some of the hair looks a little rough around the edges, but I'm hoping that gets fixed by the end.
It's hair. Reeves, so, I mean, you're a huge Resident Evil fan. Did you leave more excited to play this final thing?
Yeah, I mean, I was already super excited, so I don't know if I could be more excited.
This visibly shaking right now.
They didn't reveal anything more like mechanically or anything like super huge new details. So, but it was nice to see Claire and to kind of get some just small clarifications on the clarifications on the just how those campaigns are going to roll out.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm already like 11 out of 10 excited for this game.
Wow, Resident Evil 11. Hey, Jeff Cork, I have a very important mission for you. Please come up to the camera from Germany.
What?
Jeff Cork, it is your sole responsibility to say a line that's just packed full of wisdom and then clap you MFers out of there.
All right. It's as big as my balls.
Holy cow, here we go. Now the show's starting. We have Imran Khan Skyping in from San Francisco.
Howdy, howdy.
Kyle Hilliard.
Howdy.
Uh-huh. And JV Gwaltney.
Hi.
What a funky show. What a fun structure. Gosh, we have a lot of games to talk about. In particular, Imran, I don't know what's happening with you. I don't know what you've seen, what you've played. You just keep listing all these games. We don't need to dive into them yet, but did you go to a couple events or what's happening over there in your life?
Yeah, so since Gamescom is in Germany and nobody wants to go to Germany, everyone is holding like their own separate events in San Francisco, so they've been inviting me to all these things, and for the past 2 weeks it's been just a gauntlet of appointments.
Oh my gosh. All right, we have so much to dive into. JV Gwaltney, what has your week been like?
It's lots of Japanese stuff.
Oh, how so?
I've been playing Yakuza Kiwami 2.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
this is the remake for PS4 of Yakuza 2.
Of Yakuza 2 from 2006, even though it didn't come out in America until 2008.
Okay, and Imran, you're a fan of Yakuza in general, but Yakuza 2 in particular?
Yakuza 2 I think is the best story of all the games.
Wow, okay. JV Gwaltney, I heard rumor that you gave this a 9.
I did give this a 9.
Okay, why do you like this thing so much?
I feel like Yakuza's, and Imran might disagree with me here, I feel like Yakuza's biggest flaw when it comes to storytelling is that it can often feel like you're navigating a convoluted flowchart of families, crime families. And just as your mind is starting to wrap around like who these key players are, they either die or they disappear until like the last fourth of the game.
Huh.
Because these plots just go crazy. They're absolutely insane. And what I really like about Kiwami 2 is it basically boils it down into a grudge match between the series protagonist Kiryu and a sort of, I think the best way to think about him is like the Yakuza version of Bane. He's sort of this towering, just muscular dude who can beat the crap out of you, but he's not stupid. He's very, he's got a lot of schemes going on.
Okay.
All right. So it's basically just these two going against each other for like the soul of Yakuza's version of Tokyo.
Right, and so it's in downtown Tokyo.
It's in Tokyo and Osaka.
Awesome. Okay, so
You say he's not stupid, but there is that one scene where they first introduce him where he meets Kiryu, and Kiryu's like, no, I'm not that Kiryu, I'm someone else. He's like, oh, okay, that's fine.
And I just assume he knew.
I assumed that too, and then the next time you see him, he's like, oh, so you were that Kiryu.
So he is hunting him down, and Kiryu just got him off his scent by saying, nope, wrong dude. Sorry, assassin.
It's complicated. I think he has moments of dumbness, but he's actually far smarter than you would think he would be. Just like when you see him, because he looks like real dumb, like sort of that stereotypical like
a Kyle
just
Hilliard
massive
dumb.
idiot henchman.
Oh, I look like Bane? Is that what you're saying?
For the
Kyle does
audio
look like
listeners,
Bane.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So, okay, obviously, Yakuza 0, everyone said this is the best starting point. This series is amazing. Jump on it, you idiots. Yakuza Kiwami, people said, okay, it's a remake of 1. You should still jump on it, you idiots. Yakuza 6 came out, and it's great. You should jump on
You're
it. It's a
still all
lot.
idiots.
You can get caught up. So is the pitch for Kiwami 2 here like, yes, it's in the middle of a weird remake cycle, but the story is so focused that it doesn't really matter?
My pitch for Kiwami 2 is I think it's, understand I've played all the ones that have come out since 0. I think Imran's played literally all of them, including that weird zombie one. So, out of all the ones that have come out since 0, I think it's the best one because the story's really good. Like, it's really, really, really good. But also, it's not just that story. Like, it adds a lot of content, too, that's actually fun to do. Like, the Cabaret Club, which was a big mini game in Yakuza 0, returns in this one, and it's a huge campaign. It's like a thing that you, like, dump 10 hours into and beat, and there's like character quest where you're like trying to get to know the people that who work for you and stuff, and like solve problems in their lives, and like have Kiryu be like this sort of father figure. Okay. And then the payoff, there's a huge payoff for people who have played 0 who play that mode. So it's definitely worth doing. It's basically its own campaign. To call it a mini game is to do it a disservice. And then there's another mode that focuses on Majima, who's probably Kiryu's the protagonist, but he's probably like the most famous character in the series.
He's the most interesting character.
Yeah, he's basically just very wacky and demented and funny, but also honorable. It's very strange, but interesting. So he has a whole campaign mini game dedicated to him, and not only
when you
that,
say mini game, it's very confusing. You're just talking about like a sub campaign.
It's no, because it's confusing because one of them is a mini game that doesn't play like the rest of Yakuza. It's like an RTS game to a degree.
If you played Yakuza 6, it's the gang thing.
Yeah, it's the
basically.
gang thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so but there is a sub story that's basically like an epilogue to Yakuza 0, where it is like plays like Yakuza, but you're playing as Majima.
Oh, wow.
And it's not just like fan servicey stuff. It's like, it's about 2 or 3 hours, and it actually wraps a nice little bow on some elements with Yakuza 0 that, confused people or, they weren't quite satisfied with. So it's just a great package of stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I hear
real
ya.
fun too. And I'm not necessarily in love with like the mini games because Cork usually handles like this beat. He does the Yakuza stuff. He loves those mini games, and
Oh, gosh, yes.
they're entertaining. But most of them to me are kind of like, okay, one and done. I'm good.
Yeah.
But just the addition, the Cabaret Club was in Yakuza 0, but it's better here.
Okay.
And like the gang strategy game combined with the story, like it's just great. I think it's my favorite one. And there's some real ridiculous moments that, I don't want to spoil for anyone who hasn't played 2 or, is looking forward to Kiwami, but some of these moments are just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imran, where does it rank in your favorites? And have you played much
Honestly,
of Kiwami 2 or just 2?
I've played Kiwami 2 as well. I'm playing it now.
wow.
JV was telling me I need to finish the Cabaret Club, and I got to that moment he was talking about today, like that really good payoff,
Yeah.
and it is actually amazing. But in terms of where I rank it, of the remakes, it's definitely the best remake. It's definitely, I would put it next to Yakuza 0 as my favorite Yakuza game. Because
Wow.
they're just, Kiwami R2 has a much better base for it than Kiwami 1 did. Kiwami 1 was very truncated. They were still getting their hands around this concept. 2 is a much better game, and the additions they've made to it, the fighting engine, the new side quests, all that stuff, it just makes it far and away probably the best of the series.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is like Yakuza 0, they that had a new engine, the Dragon engine, which changed the fighting system, made it physics based instead of sort of like
Right.
arcadey animation focus. The problem is that half of 0 or half of 6 occurs in a small sleepy town.
Yeah.
So you're just really getting into fist fight. There's not a lot of like environmental stuff you can use, and it gets kind of boring. But all of Kiwami 2, which uses that engine, takes place in like dense environments, and it adds combos and
That's
finishing
sweet.
moves. So
Yeah.
And like
it
a really
plays
good
the
weapon
best.
thing for it too.
Yeah, and there are weapon tweaks. Like there are just tons of little tweaks that you don't notice unless you've played like the last couple of games.
Yeah.
And you really appreciate them. Like it's such a simple little thing, but one of them is like, oh, you can pick up weapons in fights and stow them away for fights later.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do that in earlier ones. So it's just like it's one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, why wasn't this in earlier versions?
Yeah.
So it's also a bunch of really good, smart, small tweaks.
Reviews on the site, 9.0.
Yeah, 9.0. You can go check it out.
When I asked you what your week was like, I was expecting you to talk about the fact that we've been traveling together all week and stuff.
Yeah, forgettable.
To be fair, for people, JV and I woke up next to each other in a hotel in a mysterious part of the world at 5 o'clock this morning and then just landed to record this part of the podcast. So it's wonderful. But we really
Yeah.
got to know each other.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I wish we had a story. But hey, in a couple weeks on the podcast, we can talk all about that trip. That'll be neat.
Yeah.
Kyle Hilliard, what are you doing here?
I don't know. You told me to come on the podcast.
I want to talk about the game that you were cruelly hinting at
Oh,
during
that's
our
right.
Dead Cells discussion.
My tease, my
what a tease.
expertise. Guacamelee 2.
Guacamelee 2.
I just want to draw attention to that fact that he just said expertise.
Real good. Yeah, that was on purpose. Guacamelee 2 is out. My review's also on the site. I gave it an 8.75.
That's high.
It's very good. The last game was very good. And the biggest knock I have against the game is that it's just not really like a big evolution of what the first one did so well. Like
Yeah.
it improves a lot and the story is interesting, but it really is like there's a lot of indie games that sort of go after that like Metroid structure.
Especially right now.
Yeah. And this is like one of my favorite. Like it's
Yeah.
really good. The way the world is designed, like you don't end up doing a lot of backtracking unless you're really going after 100%, which you should honestly, because the ending is really cool if you get 100%. There's
Okay.
like there's a not 100% ending and a 100% ending, and I would recommend seeing both of them. But yeah, the world is designed really well. The way you don't have to backtrack much. The combat is really interesting, and it forces you to move or to use wands. The protagonist total arsenal moves all the time.
Does he get Metroided in the beginning?
Does he get Metroid?
Does he lose all his abilities from the first one?
Oh, kind of, because the way the game begins is you actually do the end boss from the first game.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so you kind of do actually.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So for the setup, if you don't remember what this game is, it's that you're a luchador and you're running around Metroidvania.
Yeah, and
all Mexican-inspired, cool art style.
Yeah, and you can swap between the world of the living and the dead, and instead of rolling into a little morph ball, you turn into a chicken.
It's just better.
It is better even in the first game, because in the last game the chicken was really limited, but this time the chicken can fight and has a lot more moves and stuff like that. So it's easier to get you can just stay as the chicken longer if you want. And there's a lot of the games most difficult challenges, which take place later in the game, have you changing between chicken form and changing between dimensions and doing all kinds of crazy platforming. And it controls really well, so it keeps up with the difficult platforming. It's just a really awesome game.
That's great. I remember that first one got really, really hard.
Yeah, that's
So you can see the end of the game without going into the really, really tough stuff. But yeah, if you want to get 100%, there are really tough challenges that you have to do.
Yeah.
Which I have actually video on the site of literally the hardest challenges at the end of the game.
Just to prove that you did it?
Kind of. Yeah,
Okay.
I was very proud of myself.
Yeah, I remember. I really want to play this, and I'm not usually.
You should. It's great.
I remember the first one coming out, and it was one of the first indies that I saw coming out of the sort of the digital marketplace that had a really defined aesthetic that looked super interesting, and I didn't know anything else about the game, but I had to play it because of how it looked.
Yeah, I love the way it looks. Yeah, that art style comes forward, and because it's a PS4, well, not because it's a PS4 game, but there's more detail in the environments. And
It's also on Steam, right?
Yes, Steam and PS4.
Not Xbox One.
Not Xbox
Not
One,
Switch.
not Switch. Nope,
Did the first
no
one ever come to
plans.
Switch or anything?
No.
Vita.
Came to Wii U. I talked to them I think at PSX about it, and they were like, if you look at how Guacamelee went with ports, it started on PS3 and then moved to other places.
Right.
That's kind of where they're probably going to go with Guacamelee 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it belongs on Switch.
Yeah.
It'd be a great Switch game.
So another Guacamelee game, but bigger and better.
yeah. If you like
Okay.
the first one, play this one. Even I like the story, which is secondary to the whole experience, but it's sweet and funny. And they also they got rid of all the memes. People complained about that a lot in the first game, is there were just memes everywhere that were already outdated by the time the game
Yeah,
came
it
out.
does feel like there were a bunch of games around that point, because Borderlands 2 was another one.
Yeah.
right? Within 1 or 2 years that just had meme jokes, straight up ripped from the internet.
Yeah.
Instead of memes now, they have just posters in the environment that are just references to things they like. They just have
What?
they have there's a Steven Universe poster done in that sort of Guacamelee art style, just in the background.
Oh,
Kind
that
of-
sounds cool though.
yeah. It's just a collection of hey, we like these pop culture things, as
Yeah.
opposed to Icon has cheeseburger.
Ready Player Melee? Is that
Was it?
Ready Player Melee? Is that what this is? Just references?
Sure.
Okay.
It's a stretch. Ready Player One would have been a really
Oh,
better
yeah.
joke.
No,
That's right there.
I
You can fix
fucked
it in
up.
post.
Yeah,
right?
but I'm just remembering in the first game, wasn't there some crazy Zelda or Nintendo Easter egg that really went above and beyond? Do you remember that?
There's Chozo statues, I believe.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
that's what I'm
so-
thinking
which
of
those
from
are still
Metroid.
there.
Yeah.
There's some fun stuff like that, specific video games and genres, and there's a good microtransaction joke that you can
All
find.
right. And did you say there was a room that is dedicated to apologizing about the memes or
There
something?
there is a dank cave that you can find that has, it's basically them apologizing for all the memes in the first game in a very funny way that I really appreciated. That's
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great game.
Cave.
Leo in the booth, I saw you were playing it too. You dig this thing?
Yeah, it's super cool. The combat's still really fun. It's such a great system, and you can do suplexes and stuff. Love it.
Ooh,
So good.
that sounds good. That's
4-player co-op.
great. Really? 4 players?
Yeah, how does that work?
That's huge.
I preferred it as a single player game, but it's nice that you can add people to
Online?
it. No,
Okay.
local, which is still good.
Better.
I mean, honestly.
Okay, let's talk about something that did come to the Switch here. It was exciting last week. It's exciting this week. Damn it, it'll be exciting for years to come, realistically. Diablo 3. Imran, you played this?
I did. When Blizzard, before they announced it, they had me come to an event to play the game.
Okay. What struck you?
It's straight up just a very well-performing Diablo on Switch, which is within about 5 minutes of playing that game, you're like, okay, this is where this game belongs.
Really?
Like we played it handheld, so off the dock.
Yeah.
And like there was this thing of like they kind of said like, oh well, we're gonna play it locally, so I'll have one Switch, you'll have another, and we started doing that, and I started wandering away from them and then coming back, and then I physically actually got up and moved around just to see like, okay, how playable is this game portably?
Because is it ad hoc when you're doing local like that, or are you online?
So it can work either way. You can be online or you can be local. It does use Nintendo's online service, so it's going to be paid when it does come out.
Even for the ad hoc?
No, ad hoc will be free.
That's so twisted. Okay, yeah, got it.
So basically, it's just like on PS4 or whatever, is that you pay for online, but you don't pay for the local multiplayer.
Right.
But it's 4 players on one system, and you can do any permutation of controllers you want. So like we used dual or the actual like Switch Joy-Cons, both of them. But we popped off a Joy-Con at once, and single Joy-Con works fine.
Fine, but you can't roll on a single Joy-Con then?
You can. You have to flip the controller. So it's like
what?
Just basically like flick it.
Motion controls.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just make like a single flick motion, and then it'll just roll. It's not ideal, but it works. So if you're on a plane, like that's the Switch commercial scenario. If you're on a plane and somebody else wants to play, you can do that.
If you want to annoy your neighbors on a business trip just trying to take a nap.
This is going to be orgasmic having Diablo 3 on a Switch. Because like I think everybody in the back of their mind somewhere is like, I should play Diablo 3 more. I should play it again. I should spend more time with that thing. And it's nice that now with the Switch, it's like, all right, that is the version I want. I think this thing is going to sell like bananas. Everyone in the world will want to buy this thing on Switch, right? Yeah. Again.
I mean, it's like also has like the incredible amount of content. Like it's every expansion. It is everything that has been created for Diablo 3 ever put onto the Switch cart.
Auction house.
Including the auction house?
Hey, make the same.
Not the auction house. When I mentioned that, like the 2 producers who had been on the team forever, they were just like, yeah, we're not doing that.
So they call it like the auction treehouse now because it's Nintendo or something? Hey, up top,
the
baby.
auction house.
Leo, can you get a laugh track?
No need.
And Ganondorf is in it. You can unlock his gear or something.
Yeah, it's a transmog, so you can make whatever armor you have, like regardless of stats, into looking like Ganondorf.
Okay. All right, I'll play it, I guess.
But there is a chicken in it?
There is a cuckoo. You can raise a cuckoo as a pet.
Okay, perfect.
And they do have what they call Majora's Mask wings, and I've been trying to figure out what that actually is. Like, they're just big shadowy wings that they say work like Majora's Mask.
What is that, Kyle? Majora's Mask expert?
Did the giants sprout wings when they were stopping the moon?
I don't recall. When they said Majora's Mask wings, I assumed it was like the big owl transformation when you teleport, but it wasn't that. It's like shadowy purple wings.
I mean, I guess when you fight Majora, spoiler alert, at the end of the game, I think it has... Majora's Mask wings is not like a term that I've ever heard or used.
You could just say anything.
I know. It's got the Zelda ocean in it, probably.
So, fans look alive. So everything you wanted it to be. No, it seemed to run okay, looked okay.
Yeah, they're 720p on handheld and 960p on docked, and it's 60 frames per second no matter how many enemies are on screen or how many characters you have going.
Okay.
Like, that was their base rate for it.
Cool. Let's keep the sequel train rolling. Kyle Hilliard, Darksiders 3?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we've really talked about this game much on the podcast at all, but hey, THQ is making THQ Nordic, whatever that entity is known as. They are creating a whole new Darksiders.
Yeah, and we got a chance to play what will be the Gamescom demo early, which was cool.
Okay.
And so in the, I mean, the reason I'm kind of like hesitating is like, do you want me to set up the story for the game, or do you want me to just tell you how it played?
The basic beats, right? So you're playing as.
I'm kind of curious, like, just if I've played the previous 2 Darksiders games and they're fairly different. Is this more like Darksiders 1 or 2?
I think this is just based on the demo. I think it's closer to 1. I don't think you're dealing with a lot of loot and stuff like that.
That's the main difference.
I think. I mean, but this was just a small slice of the game. Like it didn't. A lot of stuff was blocked off. Yeah, you're playing as Fury, who is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and you're trying to capture the 7 deadly sins in a post-apocalyptic world.
Like Pokemon?
Kind of, yeah, because you
What?
have a little thing, like a little glowing green statue that you use to capture it when you defeat it.
And it
So-
shakes a little bit as you have pestilence in there.
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah, that's one of the horsemen. That's not one of the.
Oh
deadly
yeah,
sins.
you're right. Those are
Yeah.
different things. There's too many numbers in the Bible. I've
Yeah.
said it so many times. There's a whole chapter
You
devoted
said
to
it
numbers.
once, I'll say it again.
It's
But
a
yeah,
mess.
I think the Darksiders version is pestilence. Actually, it's somebody else. Like they changed the
they
last
changed
two.
the horsemen are
Right.
different.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
But in the demo that we played, we fought Envy and defeated Envy. Who kind of looked like her design was kind of she looked like a Skeksis from Dark Crystal. You know that old
Sure, yeah.
Tim Henson movie. And the combat feels cool. There's definitely like that game has always. Darksiders, I really like that series, and it has always drawn from other games. Like, it is very much a Zelda game.
Yeah.
Like, God of War-ish combat. There's, like, portals and stuff like that from Portal. This one, unsurprisingly, takes some references from Dark Souls. So, like, the way you literally collect souls from defeated enemies, and the way you can, if you die and you're sent back to a checkpoint, you like Dark Souls, you can go and retrieve your lost souls. And stuff like
Interesting.
that. And there seems to be fewer enemies who are stronger. So you're instead of fighting like big groups of enemies, you're fighting maybe more one-on-one battles with stronger enemies, which is I think another kind of Dark Souls-y influence a little
Yeah,
bit.
and the trailer that I watched, the combat looked surprisingly God of War-y.
Yeah,
So you're really
it's-
whipping those chains
it's
around.
closer to Lords of Shadow, another action game that I
Sure.
like a lot, and like it kind of has that sort of Devil May Cry style of combos, where it's not that you're like hitting X X Y Y circle circle. It's like X, hold down X, double tap X. You know what I mean? Like it's all focused on one button, but
Sure.
you can get a lot of combos out of that, and it felt good. I liked what I played of the combat.
Here's a question.
Here's an answer.
Feel free to call me an asshole. Does it feel a little cheaper than the other games overall?
It feels a little dated. Like it feels like
Okay.
a game from a previous generation.
Like last generation.
Yeah, like it feels like a continuation of those two games, which were games of the previous generation. And in a weird way, I don't know if that's like necessarily an awful thing, because I
Yeah.
like that style of game, that sort of character action puzzle game, like Darksiders 1 and 2. And
Right.
I haven't played one of those in a while, I feel like. So it's playing the demo, I felt weirdly nostalgic for a generation of consoles that really didn't end that long ago in a weird way.
Right. Back when you were still thriving, you had a
Yeah.
real spirit about you, Kyle.
That's right. But I am curious, like, will it have the sort of scope of the previous two games?
Yeah.
Because those were big games with big stories and like big interesting puzzle ideas.
Yeah.
And I didn't solve any puzzles in the demo. I think they're going to be in there. I'm not certain.
But they just weren't in the demo.
They just weren't in the demo.
Okay.
But like Darksiders 2, like late game had some awesome puzzles that are underrated. Like there was like you get an item that lets you clone yourself, and then you have a portal gun, and there was like a puzzle where you're like throwing bombs to yourself through portals at the end of the game and stuff like that. Like I want to see them do more of that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that later in Darksiders 3 we'll see some of that. So.
Yeah, right on. And God, what else did this team do? They were working on The Hunt for a while, right?
Yeah, they did. They did some VR stuff too. Oh man, I wish I actually played one of them recently, where it's kind of like an FTL style VR
Yeah.
game where there's also like shooter combat. Like you have to manage your ship, but then you can also step away from the console
Gotcha.
and get into combat that way. But then there was
So it's
another-
not it's not all the leads from the old Vigil team that worked on
No,
Dark
well,
Souls 1 and 2. It's
Joe-
like David Adams, I
Yeah.
remember, is working on this, but some other folks have split off.
Yeah,
Like,
well, Joe Madura, the creator, like he's not involved in
Right.
this as far as
He's
as
doing
far as
Battle
I know.
Chasers,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's doing Battle Chasers. So I don't know if how that will affect the total development, but
Yeah,
like
certainly-
he might have been more of just an artist more than anything else. You know.
I think it went beyond that, but it is interesting
Wait,
looking
you
at
went
the
you went
art.
on the Darksiders 2 trip, so
Yeah.
you probably spoke with those
Yeah, I
guys
think he was
more.
the creative director overall.
I
Whoa.
Yeah, I
think
believe
so.
so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I liked what I played of
Yeah,
Darksiders 3.
for sure.
So
Do you want to take care of Imran's screen over there?
it's fine.
It's just a stupid error message. Okay, JV, do you want to talk about Supermassive's game?
Oh,
Because
man.
that trailer popped up while we were traveling together, and you're like, "Yes, Daddy."
Yeah.
You really
No,
said
I really.
said it.
Oh,
What is
Jesus.
this? Set this thing up. You and Imran. Here we go.
Okay, so Supermassive is the developer who did Until Dawn.
Yeah.
Which I loved the hell out of. I don't think I'm alone in that. I think that's like
Yeah,
the
it's
ultimate
great.
like Halloween game. Like I think the thing I like about Until Dawn, just to go on a weird tangent for
Please,
a second,
take it away, man.
is like it plays so well in so many ways. Like you can enjoy it as like a branching story that you just like play once, never play again. or you can also enjoy it as like an experiment to see like, because I love interactive fiction, so I like saying like, okay, where do all the branches go?
Yeah.
Like, why do my choices matter?
Right.
It also works as a great fucking multiplayer game. Like passing
Soft
the controller,
multiplayer, yeah.
passing the controller with characters and making choices.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. And so after that, Supermassive followed up with Hidden Agenda, which I watched some people play, but
Yeah.
I haven't played myself. It did not look that great.
I finished it.
It's
I don't
okay?
recall much about it, so yeah, not great.
And then like,
Are we skipping over Rush of Blood?
yes.
Okay.
A load
VR
of
thing.
VR games, including, what is it, Alpha Team Bravo
I think so.
Seal
yeah.
6
Yeah.
nonsense.
Inpatient.
Yeah.
Which was a prequel to Until?
Yeah, it's yeah.
Okay.
But this one looks like a return to what Until Dawn was, but as an anthology of horror games.
Right. And what is this thing called, Imran?
It is called the Dark Pictures Anthology.
So when people go to a store and they look on the shelf, is it going to say the Dark Picture Anthology, or is this a series of games and that's the umbrella name for it?
So I had to talk to Namco reps for a while to figure this out. Basically, the analogy we came down with was the Dark Pictures is the series a la Legend of Zelda, while Man of Medan is the game a la Breath of the Wild.
That's interesting. So Namco's publishing this thing?
Bandai Namco is, yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. I
Yeah.
thought Sony owned them.
As a quick aside, their Bandai Namco is like getting into some weird story stuff because
You're
they're
totally
also
right.
doing
Definitely.
that Aardman game as well.
Right, the one about World War One.
Yeah.
Wallace and Gromit meet World War One or whatever. What is
That's
that
the
called
title
again?
of the game.
1111 Memories Retold.
Yeah,
That's right.
I mean, it's just Valiant Hearts 2, right?
Well,
It's the same people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really well the same creative director, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But quick aside, Bandai Namco's doing weird stuff lately.
Okay, so the game itself is called Man of Medan. Medan?
Yes. Medan,
Okay.
something. They never pronounce it out loud in the game, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so what did you see from the game? What did you play?
So they have it's hard to tell because the demo is very context free. That shows you what was basically in the reveal trailer the other day at Gamescom of it appears that there are some people on an excursion like on a boat tour checking out an ancient ship or a shipwrecked boat.
Yeah.
So they dive in there and they collect things and they're not supposed to, and those things bring about some sort of ancient horror.
Sounds great.
So the chapter 2 that I actually played in had like a previously on, which was just the trailer from the first time, and it's 3 characters. It is, I'm checking my notes, a character called Fliss, someone named Danny, who I have in parentheses is an
okay,
and
noted.
a character named Brad, and it's them exploring inside a like big steel ship, kind of like the Queen Zenobia from Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So Danny is kind of pushing Fliss and Brad around with a gun. It's never explained why, but he's generally like it seems like he's fearing for his life while he's pointing a gun at them. And the game kind of go like it's very much Until Dawn of following this thing on while you talk to these characters and you make choices of how you're going to respond to them. Like you can be kind of optimistic, you can be cynical, like we're never going to get out of here. This is going to be awful.
We're in a boat underwater.
Basically, yeah, and like it does really cool things because it's framed like a horror movie. So, for example, there's one scene where I walk into a room and Fliss, who's the character I'm playing as, just sort of like continues walking through the room and the camera's framed on a dead person in front of you and like they're directly in front of the camera. But like you check them, it's just like he's dead. There's nothing to this, and you walk through the room, and as you're leaving the door, like those last 2 frames of you leaving the door, you see the chin start to move on the.
Oh, that's good.
And then like nothing happens for another couple of hallways, and then eventually like stuff starts popping off.
Okay.
And I don't want to spoil it for when like people get a chance to play it, but
Do you have a gun at a certain point, or is it more purely Until Dawn's type of gameplay?
It is purely Until Dawn. When things started grabbing you, it was like mash square, press X at the right time, that kind of thing. And it's like it just straight up feels like the spiritual sequel to that game, complete with the character relationships and like the little like vignettes of, oh, this is what's going to happen soon. So you can try and figure out how your characters might die. I could say I really liked it. Like as someone who really liked Until Dawn, I was thinking like I can't wait to play this the same way I played that game of playing with people and trying to vote on the right decisions.
Yeah. You into it, JV?
yeah, no, I'm super excited for it. I think that's probably my favorite bit of like just pure interactive fiction video game where your interactions are very minimal, but they have huge impacts that you can see.
Okay.
You know, when you like pull out, and if there's a way to see the graph, and like of all the choices.
You'd love Detroit Become Human.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
No, I don't like that. But yeah, I think Until Dawn's the best representation of that.
Sure.
And I am fascinated by like the sort of murky behind the scenes story of like what the hell happened with Sony. Like
It's odd. Yeah.
it's because we talked to them one time and we tried to ask them about sales numbers, and they were like, "Oh, we're not talking about that." And that sort of makes me think like, oh, I guess Until Dawn didn't do well. I really want to know how well that game did, what the audience is for that game, especially since they have like a third-party publisher who's interested in this sort of
It is
thing. now.
odd just to have Namco stand up and be like, we
market
want to
it.
take that.
What's
Like
up?
they stereotypically did not market that game at all because they didn't think it would succeed. And like
Oh, yeah.
people asked like Shuhei Yoshida afterwards, like, why didn't you market this game? It seemed like a critical success. It's like, well, we have to put the money where the money will work best.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sent that game out to die. That's what it felt like. As someone who like reviewed it at the time, it was like, why is no one talking about this? This is
Yeah.
amazing.
But isn't it spooky? It was left to die. Weird. Okay, so Man of Medan. I saw that trailer. It feels a lot like one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes, which I had to look up the name of because I completely forgot. But the 30 Fathom Grave from the 4th season. It's very good. So if you want to put yourself in the mood for this, go watch that Twilight Zone episode.
Don't you have a Twilight Zone podcast with Cork or
Yeah,
something?
but I think with the new site it all broke down or something. But I think you can still find the feeds. It's Twilight
You have to
Highlight
go
Zone.
into the Twilight Zone to find.
Yeah, I think we're at that point. Okay, Imran, you also mentioned you wanted to talk about a game that I am challenged to pronounce. Can you take this away? What is this thing?
This is Taiko no Tatsujin.
Okay, what is this? Why are you so
Bless
excited
you.
about it?
It is basically, it refers to taiko drums, like the big Japanese drum set.
Yeah,
Oh, Leo.
okay.
Leo, you okay in the booth? Did you just pass out from excitement?
Wait, so it's Taiko Drum Master.
Yes.
Oh, okay, now I'm very excited about this, but they're calling it No Tatsujin now?
I believe so. That was what the logo said when I chose it.
Wow, okay.
It's-
What did you
they
play
might
this
be
on?
Drum Master when it comes out. Like,
Right, and this is on what?
it's on PS4 and Switch. I played the PS4 version.
Okay, so does it come with a drum?
It does not in America come with the drums. You can import a drum set from Japan if you would like to, and it will work with the PS4 version. I asked if there's such a thing for Switch, and they don't quite know yet. But there are like makeshift drum sets for the Switch, and you can just use the Joy-Cons as drumsticks.
No go. Sure, I'll do it, and it'll be fine. But what about PS4? What do you do?
When you're not using a drum set, you use the controller, and it's basically like a very simple rhythm game of you press both triggers to like hit the drum hard, like
Yeah.
on both sides, and you press the face buttons to like hit it on the face.
That's like playing Guitar Hero with a controller. Technically
Yes.
doable, but come on. That removes so much of the thrill and the fun of this thing.
Yeah, if you want to, honestly, if you want to play Taiko, you want to play with the drum set. So I'd recommend people import that if they can.
Yeah.
But it is a big ask.
Will you be able to plug a Donkey Konga Congo into a GameCube converter to plug into your Switch to play? Imran.
Kyle
asked this.
Hilliard, here we go.
Thank you. Thank
Daisy
you.
chaining.
Imran, I'm sure you know the answer and asked that question very specifically.
They're not talking about that right now. They're just going to go to what's currently available.
But you liked what you played?
I did. I wanted they end up licensing most of the Japanese songs, which they described to me as a challenge. But most of that soundtrack from Japan has come in place. Like, have you guys heard of Baby Metal?
Yeah.
No. What is that?
Baby Metal is a heavy metal band that is headed by two teenage girls
Uh-huh.
that sing J-pop over it, and it's ridiculously popular. It was on Colbert once,
Yeah.
and like their song "Gimme Chocolate's" in there. Like
Gimme
they have
Chocolate.
a pop category, an anime category that has Dragon Ball Super. It has the Japanese version of Frozen's "Let It Go." The Japanese
yeah,
version
that's
of
fun.
I'm in.
Zootropia's "Try
Does it have all
Everything."
the My Hero Academia themes?
It did not that I saw.
I
There
really want
is
to know
a
what
thing
super
for DLC
songs
on
they
the top
have.
of the main
Well,
menu
there's
though,
only
so that might be
two.
it.
There's only two supers. Oh, they changed the end song.
Yeah,
for
in the
Super.
end, it's like da 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 da.
I like the one where they
It's
describe
the
the show.
second opening for the Tournament of Power.
Okay. I haven't
Alright.
seen that. Then.
Let's see. It has Vocaloid songs,
Hatsune Miku?
variety, classical music, games
Oh!
which include like Namco's games like Tales of Berseria and Ridge Racer, then like
Weird.
original sounds.
Cool. All right. When's it coming out?
It comes out this year. I don't think they've given it a correct date yet.
I really want to play that thing with the drums.
Yeah, me too. Like I honestly, one of my dreams has been to afford one of those like giant Taiko no Tatsujin machines that you see in Japan.
Yeah. Of course.
Those things are like $60,000, but like it'd be so cool to have one.
How many years worth of your salary would you have to save up for that? I've been meaning to ask you.
If I spend it on nothing else, not that many years.
Okay, all right. Well, there we
But
go,
I'd have to
Hotshot.
be homeless and starving for a long time.
Look, it'll
Worth
take
it.
a while to kick you out of your house now. I think you can coast, so you think you're good.
You can live
Suffer
inside.
for your art.
Yeah.
You can live inside the drums.
I mean, that's
fine.
a conundrum. Like, how do you have a Taiko No Tatsujin machine with nowhere to put it?
That's tough. Speaking of Dragon Ball, Jump Force. This is the game where they have Frieza fighting Vegeta, but then also fighting One Punch Man and a bunch of other anime stars.
Well,
One
One
Punch
Punch
Man's
Man's
on
not in there.
Oh, sorry. Who else is it?
Vegeta got announced.
I know, but who are the other guys?
And Hunter Cross Hunter.
It's Hunter x Hunter, Dragon Ball,
Sanji.
Naruto, One Piece.
One Piece.
One Piece is the
Bleach.
name I was looking for. Okay.
Luffy.
What is it?
Luffy.
Luffy.
Oh, Luffy.
Kyle,
Shut
you
up,
seemed
Kyle.
more interested in this game recently after seeing one screenshot.
Oh, yeah, because it was Namek and Frieza's ship,
Yeah.
and then the Statue of Liberty was next to it.
Planet of the
Like
Apes
Planet of the
on
Apes.
Planet Namek.
Yeah, I just took that screenshot, and I was like, wait, is this game cool? Because I have really not been super interested.
That would actually
silly.
be a really cool thing for them to do in the game of like Vegeta standing over Krillin who drops to his knees, who goes like, you blew it up.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Man,
But that's actually way cooler than the game is. The game's still kind of, I'm not digging.
Oh, really? Is it just a classic 3D Namco brawler kind of feel?
Yeah, and they made it easy so anybody can play the game, and you can play any character you want without having to go like, oh, well, Frieza's better, but I don't like Frieza or something like that.
Okay.
But it just makes everyone play the same. And I really, really don't like the graphics.
yeah,
Like,
no. It reminds me of remember when people started like putting up on DeviantArt like, here's realistic Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that all looks real messed up.
Right.
Like that is that whole aesthetic for the models in this game.
We're going for an abomination kind of style.
This
You know
might
what
be-
I wrote
rejects.
down is it looks like people in cosplay wearing plastic masks.
Oh, yeah. I think you nailed it.
Oh, God. All right, well, hey, let's move on to Don't Nod. They have another game called Twin Mirror, which seems very Twin Peaks. Did you like what you saw of that thing? This is the classic Vampire, Life is Strange developers.
Yeah, it's actually, so it's pretty neat, except I hate the main character, but
Oh.
we'll get to that in a second.
Damn, Ron.
Basically, so it starts off like you wake up from like a drunken stupor, and he's like talking to himself, and like the housekeeping in the hotel room is like yelling at him to get up and check out. And as he tries to go into the bathroom to fix himself up and get ready to go, a guy in a suit, like he looks like he should be selling you about government programs on a commercial, comes out and he says, don't go in there. You really don't want to see that. Just go. Just leave. And he replies like, I don't have to listen to you anymore, which makes me think that he's just a part of his consciousness, his imagination or something. And he finds a bloody shirt, and it's not his blood. So it begins a thing of you have to, and the exact words they use are go into your mind palace
Love it.
and reconstruct what happened that previous night by like looking around, switching between the reconstructed mind version of the hotel room and the actual hotel room. So like the initial thing he thinks is, oh, I must have come home. Would I have gone to the bathroom, or would I have watched TV before I went to bed? And you look at the remote in the real room, he's like, I haven't watched TV in years. So it can't be that. It has to be something else. And, oh, well, I went to the bathroom, but I don't feel like I threw up because the toilet's clean. So I must have taken off the shirt and washed it. So you just start piecing together bit by bit of going to these things in the dream world, the mind palace.
Yeah.
And going like, okay, it's not this. So I think it was I had to have cleaned the shirt. Then once you've gotten everything going, you can play it like a video and just like, okay, well, I came in, cleaned the shirt, took that off,
Arkham
got
Origins.
really mad at a phone call and threw my phone against the wall. So what could that have been? And that's where the demo ends, as you start piecing together that maybe you accidentally killed somebody that night.
Huh. This sounds like exactly JV's type of game, but for some reason he's grimacing right now, and I can't figure out what's happening in his silly mind.
I don't know. I need to see it in action. It just sounds like a game that's like, okay, this sounds cool on paper, but it could become very tedious very quickly. It kind of reminds me of like Remember Me, I guess, a little
Right.
bit.
Well, very
Don't Nod,
naturally.
yeah.
Which is
same
also
studio.
a Don't game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
Is it them kind of like expanding on that one facet of that game? Like, because that game is like an action platformer brawler, but then it was like there were like 3 segments where you actually like relived a memory, right, bit by bit.
Yeah, it's basically the memory remixing of Remember Me with like the kind of movement and like dialogue and banter of Life is Strange.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay. Did it seem okay? You into it?
I'm interested to see more. I'm not sure. Like JB said, it's going to be a matter of how they change that up as time goes on. Like, is it going to be reconstructing one room? Is it going to be reconstructing memories, conversations? Like, I'm kind of curious where it goes.
Yeah.
And why do you hate the protagonist so much?
So you know those kind of people who like make a bunch of snarky comments to themselves all the time?
Yeah. Everybody at this table?
I don't think.
Okay, so I wouldn't play games based on you guys, like I should say.
So he's just constantly monologuing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, that's all right. A lot of protagonists do that. Hey, Spider-Man's coming out September 7th. I think you'll really enjoy it. Anyways, that's Twin Mirror. You guys want to move on to some cool emails?
Sure.
Great! Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm still here, Ben Hansen. We got the same crew. No one goes anywhere. This is a one-way ticket to hell. And we got Leo in the booth. And people wrote into podcast@GameInformer.com. They wrote in with questions, feedback, words of wisdom, news stories, queries, everything you could ever want. Podcast@GameInformer.com. We're going to read off some of our favorites, choose our absolute tippy-top favorite, put them up. Question of the week. There's a lot of noble cities up on there. LA's up there a couple twice. Searcy, Arkansas.
A couple twice.
Only the finest.
Don't you love
I
it?
woke up at 5 and I've been traveling out there. Leave me alone. Okay, first question. Oh, how timely. Mike from Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Germany. Gamescom, y'all.
Deutschland.
This is hello, GI Show. I fell in love with stylish action games when Bayonetta was on Xbox Games with Gold last year. Since then, I've played a bunch of similar games, including Devil May Cry HD Trilogy, Transformers Devastation, Vanquish, and the DMC reboot. However, all these games were released on last generation or remasters of much older games. I know Devil May Cry 5 and Bayonetta 3 are coming out eventually, but they come at the end of a long drought for this subgenre. What happened? Are there any similar games that flew under the radar I should be checking out?
Stylish action current gen games.
Nier Automata.
Oh.
I feel like.
Oh,
that's good.
interesting. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's not quite as combo
it'll
heavy.
scratch a little tiny itch.
It'll hold you over.
It's
Okay.
platinum.
So I noticed in that list he didn't mention Metal Gear Rising.
Great.
Ooh,
Imran,
yeah.
you're so smart. Absolutely. Okay, Metal Gear Rising.
I should play that game.
Yes.
Yes.
I've played through it twice now. It is
Really?
absolutely
Okay,
worth it. It's
I'll play
short.
it.
It's sweet.
I literally played through it 5 times early this year. Like, I just finish it and start over immediately after.
You didn't
Yeah.
have to do that. No one made you do that.
It's a really good game. And, like, I love speaking of music, the music in that game is probably the best in an action game, period.
Every boss fight, it has like a song with vocals. It is absurd
All right,
if you
I
can
need to
believe
play
it.
it.
And there's a gag with a sombrero that's really good.
Yep.
Well,
The
now
writing's
I'm in.
top notch. But it is interesting that's still last gen. You know, like what's going
yeah.
on this gen? Is it just kind of a quiet genre? Right
They don't
now?
sell that well. Like, that's the main problem, is the people who really like those games, there's probably about 3 million of them, and they really love them. But if you're going to make a AAA action game, you probably want to go something closer to God of War than you do a Bayonetta or Devil May Cry.
I would
Yeah.
be curious how the Bayonetta Switch ports have changed that sales wise. Like
They did outsell the Wii U game quite a bit. But
is that right?
I don't think
Okay.
Well,
it
yeah, but that's a
broke much
low
shield.
bar, baby.
So impressive.
Yeah, but I am curious, like, if they did like have substantial sales.
Yeah, I'm wondering too. I mean, you mentioned God of War, like, man, that'd probably do something for you too if you somehow have dodged God of War.
No, that's a. I feel like the new one's a bit too slow, like compared to like what they're talking about.
Yeah, I understand they want the full combos.
Like,
on the
because Kratos
screen.
is basically a tank
Right,
in that
right.
game.
Like, when you say character action, like stylish character action, I think like really extensive like rival fights, like Virgil and Armstrong and
Yeah.
stuff like that. There's none of that in God of War, really. I mean, there's one. That's it.
I think of like speedy, ridiculous, like almost rhythm-based, like combat.
Right.
Yeah. See, I feel like God of War hits some of that. Like, you're still managing big groups and, you know, kind of like...
It would do something.
It's not... Yeah, I wouldn't say,
Yeah.
like, this is a character action game, but if you like character action games,
Right.
you'd probably like
What
God of War.
about, would Asura's Wrath do anything for this guy?
Not in terms of it depends on why he's playing those games. If he likes stylish set pieces, he'd love Asura's Wrath. I really like that game too. But in terms of like mechanical depth, no.
Yeah.
Isn't it just a quick time event game?
There's some fights, but there's mostly quick times.
I heard the quotation marks in over fights when you said that.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember if they have life bars, but like you're dashing around like you would in like a Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm game because same developers. and you're just kind of like punching a guy and like dodging, but I don't remember if they were really that important.
Okay.
What about that Heaven game that was from Okami's art director?
El Shaddai?
Thank you so much.
The Blue Jeans game.
Yeah, is that fun?
I didn't like it. I know a lot of people who did.
Joe liked it.
Yeah, Joe did. Okay, next question from Travis C. from the Pyramid Lake Indian Reservation in Nevada. We'll find that on a map, goddammit. Hey, Ben Hansen and crew. When I heard the news that THQ Nordic bought the rights to Time Splitters, I blew up with excitement all over my phone. Oh, cool. But after thinking about it for a day, I'm nervous about a new game in this series. I'm afraid it might be too much of a product of its time for them to capture what made Time Splitters great. Best case scenario for me would be a remaster or just re-release of the original trilogy on modern systems. What would you like to see them do with Time Splitters?
Who is the Time Splitters developer? They're with Crytek now.
Free Radical.
Free
so
Radical.
the way
It
it
was
worked
Free
is
Radical.
Free Radical closed down. They got bought by Crytek. Crytek sold them to Deep Silver, and Deep Silver got bought by THQ Nordic.
And in the midst of all that, Homefront, The Revolution had a crazy Time Splitters 2 Easter egg, which was Time Splitters 2 HD. So some work has been done, at least, to res up old Time Splitters art, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
And that's what
first.
THQ Nordic does. They take the old licenses and they make re-releases of them.
Yeah.
Like Darksiders 3 that we talked about earlier is the, I think, first example of them making a new game of the license they bought.
That's interesting.
I mean, the first step is re-release those games in one package, right?
Yeah. Oh, one big package, especially like
Because it's 3 games, right? 1, 2, and Future Perfect.
yes,
Right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And just like tweak the controls a little bit, add new control schemes for modern times, just see if you can do anything to make it feel a little bit better. Oh, get that crap on PC? You kidding me? Game over. Game over. That would be so great. Time Splitters 2 on PC? JV. You kidding me?
No, I'd
You
play
kidding me
it.
with this stuff?
Okay.
You're
Here's
gonna
my
do an
question
esport?
to
I
you
don't know.
guys. In every re-release THQ Nordic has done so far, they've had a terrible
Yes,
title.
Yes.
So like Definitive Edition, Remastered, what do they name
Yes.
Time Splitters?
Oh, good question.
The future is now.
That's pretty good.
Time splitting
Just keep
hairs.
it Future Perfect, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Time Splitter hairs?
I'm so tired, you guys.
What about? Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the iconic things. Like you got the monkey, you got the snowman, you got bricks.
You got Bald Guy,
Oh yeah, Agent Cortez. I mean, there's also
Quasimodo.
there are the robots. Is it Gretchen and like RK-109 or something? But like, I don't know what you'd name it after.
They're like they call it like subtitle the closest you'll ever get to a new GoldenEye.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, just
pretty
call it
good.
that. Essentially, GoldenEye 2. You idiots, buy this game. Oh, Time Splitters, so much fun. Time Splitters 2, just the best, you guys. Anyways, JB, I got a quiet harumph out of you. Do you like Time Splitters?
Yeah, I like Time Splitters. I don't think we need a new one.
Okay, perfect. Chris from Los Angeles says, hello, crew. After hearing about the GI interns experience there last week, I got curious about what are the perks you guys like from working at Game Informer. Is it a parking spot? The travel? Living in Minnesota? Working with Dantec? No. Playing any game from the vault? GameStop discounts? Also, is there only one copy of each game when a new game comes out to share around?
There's a battle royale every time a game comes
Yeah.
out.
It is. Well,
different
typically,
these days with
yeah,
codes.
it goes in the vault or there's codes, and we have a whole
Yeah.
random system to try and let people
It
play.
was
all
real
that
bad
stuff.
when Dragon Ball Z came out. We all just beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, it was, it
That's
was
Serial
straight up
1.
nasty. Seriously, biggest perk. Kyle, what do you think of?
Getting to play games early, I guess.
Yeah?
I love
to be a snob about it?
I mean, yeah, I really get excited about. I mean, I get excited about, new games and the chance to just play them a few weeks early and without any kind of, like online murmurings and other people's opinions and stuff. I really appreciate that.
So just like the sanctity. You're not like texting your friends saying, you'll never believe.
No, none of that. I just really I love like getting to play Breath of the Wild without the option to Google solutions was
Right.
awesome. And like I love that. Like Inside was another one like that. Like there was no opportunity for me to figure out the secret ending of that game by
Right.
Googling. And I appreciate that. Like I love that. I love it when that happens. So
Yeah.
that's probably my favorite perk.
Yeah. I think it's a little simpler for me where it's just I like learning things and I like reaching out and asking questions. And it is always shocking to me just to say on a whim, like, I wonder what happened to this game. Like, I've always wanted to talk to this developer and then just send an email. And when like you hear back within a couple hours of like, yeah, sure, we'll Skype into the show. No problem. It's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is a gift from the heavens. I get to talk to these people?
Yeah, mine's basically similar to that. It's because I did freelance for a while, and it was super hard whenever you had like a dream article that you wanted to work on, and you'd say, "Oh, I'm writing for Paste," or not that there's anything wrong with Paste, but like a lot of developers don't know who they are,
right?
So it feels like one of the perks is with having GI is being able to like go after big pieces that I've always wanted to write. Like, oh, I want to talk to the Wolfenstein 2 developers about that studio's history. Or I want to, talk to military people about how video games fit in their lives.
Sure.
Then having the resources to do that, like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would be my perk.
Yeah, it's a simple one.
Yeah, for me, it's basically the same thing of like I get to interview developers who I've like played all their games and loved all their stuff. Like, I think it was February that I got to talk to Yoko Taro, and I was like, this is amazing.
wow.
I've been wanting to talk to this guy for years. And without this job, there would never be a situation where I'd be in the same room interviewing him.
Right.
It is funny when you talk to other people about that, like who aren't really into games. Like when I first started here, I got a chance to talk to Jordan Mechner on the phone for a little while, and I remember just like being like,
"This is the Prince of Persia creator."
Yeah, the Prince of Persia director. Creator, and then he directed Sands of Time. And I remember like trying to talk to my parents about why that was so amazing. I was like I got to talk to Jordan Mechner, you guys, like on the phone, and they're like, okay.
Does he know any celebrities?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
yeah. Kyle's parents get it. Do some research.
I feel like that's like.
I thought you were saying they get it.
No, they should get it.
I mean, I feel like that's the parent disconnect for like all of us, right? Like my parents don't know. I mean, my parents like met in an arcade, and they were really into the arcade scene. They still don't know like much about like modern games. Like they.
What? Your dad played through like Last of Us or something, didn't he?
No.
He played through some crazy modern game.
No.
Your dad has never played a game, like in the last 10 years, 5 years.
I don't think so.
Am I just thinking of the fact that he tuned into Extra Life?
Yeah, you're just thinking of the fact you turned into.
I
Extra.
swear he said he played some game.
No, I don't think he has. But like, I think it's just one of those things where you have to explain it to them because I mean they're 9 times out of 10 they're not going to keep up with like the who's who.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't expect them to. But
they don't even know there's a who, let alone keeping up with the who's
It's just kind of that idea of like the celebrities to us that are not celebrities to other people, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I kind of love the idea of JV's dad telling Ben what games he's playing, but not JV.
I swear to God, am I losing my mind, JV?
Why is my father telling you all of these
We
things?
talk a lot.
You guys played that point and click game that we super replayed. What was that called? He's a big fan of that.
Tex Murphy?
Yeah, didn't you play Tex Murphy with your dad?
A little bit. But that's not modern.
Stories
Kyle.
full of holes. Tex Murphy's as modern as it gets in my eyes.
That's the apex of gaming.
Yeah.
Good lord.
We have wonderful clarification from Garrett in Utah here. He says, Ben, I'm just getting around to last week's podcast, and there was mention about a Game Over song that sings the words. I believe Brian Shea was mistaken, Garrett says. It is a song from Daytona, USA, not Rush, like he said. And that's why Shea could never find it when he was searching for it. But it's Daytona, USA, and it's a very silly song. Leo, do you have it here? That ending, it's like, I don't know, it's like the Cohen tape. Check.
So that's a Japanese game, right? That was
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does Shay find ways to make my life worse when he's not even in the room? It's like indirectly.
He has a
superpower.
gift, yeah.
So wait, I don't think I mentioned this on the podcast, but I think I showed JV. Have you guys seen that new DOA character?
No, what is it?
It's a character named Diego, and I showed JV after I posted the news story, but he looks exactly like Shay.
Really?
It's from who? Soul Calibur?
Dead or
DOA,
Alive.
Dead or Alive.
Yeah,
Oh,
it looks exactly like Shay.
Are we on 6? Dead or Alive 6? We're on 7 now.
6.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Does he have any special abilities? Does he talk about what he had for dinner last
Talking.
night for 45 minutes or something like that? I don't know. Okay, I guess not. Anyways, Shane from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, again. God bless Portsmouth, the best.
Okay.
God's country. They say, hey, I'm interested in digging into the Metal Gear series, but never got around to playing any of the games when I was younger. Metal Gear Solid 5 was a recent Games with Gold giveaway. Everyone's just jumping on this Games with Gold thing. It's popular. But I'm intimidated by the prospect of jumping in without the context of the earlier games. Is there a good entry point for Metal Gear Solid, or do I need to scour eBay, fire up the old PS2, and start from the beginning?
3.
Yeah.
3 and
Here's
Peace
what you do.
Walker.
Well, especially heading
Well,
into 5.
Here's what you do. Yeah, it's so easy. Don't worry about the other stuff. If all you want is 5, play last gen's version of 3, right?
Yeah,
in the
HD,
collection.
yeah.
Yep. Or you can play it on 3DS if you want to be a maniac.
Stereoscopy, baby.
And then, look, I'm a Metal Gear fan, but at that point, you then sit back. If you want to be hardcore, find like a movie cut of Portable Ops, and then for sure a cut of Peace Walker on YouTube. Spend 2 hours watching that, have a great time. You're ready to go for Phantom Pain.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah.
And then if you are curious about like, what was that hinting at towards the future, then you can move on and play the MSX stuff and stuff. You want to be
3,
insane.
5, go from there.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, either watch or play through Ground Zeroes or watch a thing of it, because that is extremely important for Phantom Pain.
Oh
Yeah.
my God! I didn't even think about that. Yeah, of course.
I mean, I just consider that like one big game at this point, because I think even the gold version probably has.
No,
I
it
believe
isn't.
so, yeah.
No, it does.
Okay. I mean, what version is on gold? Because there's
I
like,
don't know.
and when you go buy it at the store today, it has Ground Zeroes in it. It's a package.
Okay.
Okay.
I would assume it's that, but yeah, that's essential.
Yeah.
John from Tampa, Florida says, "Hey crew, do any of you like karaoke? What are your go-to songs when doing karaoke?" John says, "My main two are I'm on a Boat by Lonely Island and Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. Lately, I've been doing the Pokemon theme song. It's been an absolute blast. I want to know where you're doing this karaoke, where they have the Pokemon theme and I'm on a boat. If by karaoke he just means like putting it on YouTube and singing in his living room, I can dig it, but that seems like a good get.
Yeah.
Go-to karaoke songs.
The only time I've done karaoke was with you in Japan, Hanson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh,
it was
good.
fun.
Okay. What was a highlight song?
The Disney songs, like from Aladdin.
Of course. You got to go with one jump. It's fun. There's so many voices to do. Some of them are offensive.
Also, one thing I didn't realize until that is how much of an art there is to picking the right song.
It is very important.
Because you think like, oh, I love this song. I want to sing this song. But then it starts playing, and it's like, well, this song isn't super fun to sing, and like not everybody knows it. So it's like
you
not
did
as
like,
fun.
here's your problem, Kyle. I got
That's
a
my
lot.
first time.
I know it was your first time, but this is a holy, sacred honor. You need to be sure that this is a good song, because there's nothing worse than people throwing crap songs in the queue. Like, good songs, different from good karaoke songs.
Yes.
Like Kyle,
I learned that.
Kyle goes up there and he goes, "Man, I love me some Gorillaz. I'm going with Dare." Putting it up there. And then you try and sing all of Dare.
Great
It
song,
sucks
bad
to sing.
karaoke song.
Completely sucks to
Yeah,
sing.
yeah.
Also-
you have a good list though that you keep with you.
This is my tip to everybody, because you never know when it's going to come up. But like years ago in Japan, I think when we first started going to karaoke, I hated being in the room and like trying to think of other songs. So every time I think of a song or I hear a song and say, yeah, I could sing that full song, that'd be really fun. Just keep a little list in your phone.
Yeah.
It's great.
But yeah, Disney and
Yep.
Nightmare Before Christmas, like highlights for me.
Right.
for
What's
sure.
This is my absolute favorite song to
great.
sing, but it's pretty rare to find in
It was in
karaoke
Japan,
things.
wasn't it?
I think so.
I remember singing it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, good ways to get the night started. Space Oddity. Everyone knows it. Everybody loves it. It's dynamic as hell. There's communal clapping. It's everything you need in there, right? JV, you like singing?
Most of the time I've gone to karaoke, I've been an observer and enjoyed it more that way. I've done it a couple of times. I think like 3 times, and 2 of those times, one time it was Joy Division, and then 2 other times it was Rolling Stones.
Okay.
Yeah.
You seem like someone who'd throw some like Death Cab for Cutie up in that queue or something.
What is that supposed to mean?
Up in that old
Seems
cutie.
like you'd be into that, singing
It's a
that.
huge insult.
Soul meets body, belting it out.
Imran, you got one?
Is Don't Stop Believing Too Rote?
No, that's still fun.
Oh, that's-
It'll be great. Hello, Game Informer podcast. I'm Arian from Australia, and I recently finished The Witcher 3. Congratulations.
You did
Good
it.
job. I adored it, and it got me thinking. I have many other games put on hold that I need to complete, including many titles from the Zelda franchise. Zelda is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and I've played every one of them, but only completed one, and that's Breath of the Wild. The Wind Waker is one of my favorite games of all time, and I still have never finished it. Does this mean I'm not a true fan of the Zelda games, and can I truly say I love them when I haven't seen the ending of almost all of them? Kyle,
I mean,
Zelda
it kind of
expert.
depends on why you haven't seen them, I guess. Like, if it's just like, okay, I think I'm satisfied with what I've got, that's makes for a fan. If it's I hate what I'm playing and I'm done, then you probably don't like the games that much, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it does. You're a fan. Like it doesn't
Relax.
really
Yeah.
matter. But I will say it's a little odd to call like one of your favorite games of all time one that
Yeah.
you didn't see to conclusion.
I don't think so.
Yeah?
I think especially for larger games, like it's not one of my favorite games of all time, but I really like Persona 5. Nowhere near beating it.
Yeah.
I feel like I had my feel of it, and I was like, I get this.
But
I'm good.
what-
I'm done.
But favorite of all time though is kind of it's strange, but I want to like make sure it's clear that it doesn't matter. Like, make that your favorite game of all time. Be a fan of that game. You played a bunch of it,
But you're a weirdo.
But you're a weirdo. Why? Like, why didn't you? Don't you want to see what happens? Like, the end of that game's amazing.
I'm sure they know. I've already looked it up.
I guess. Well, okay. Well, there's that too. Yeah. But
I would say Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, and even though this email says they beat it, I'm pretty sure no one's ever beaten that game.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
and
bold
Persona.
take. JV, I think you just played through it again like last week, right?
Way to call me out, Imran.
Abby Warner, killer question here, Abby. The last 2 episodes of the GI Show on YouTube have said that the video is unavailable on this device. I used an older model Apple TV to watch the show. Is this a problem with Apple TV or what's going on? I don't know. YouTube has been very strange, and the last 2 episodes on YouTube have only rendered up to 360p. It's exactly the same on our end. Clips of the show will upload 1080-60. So I have no idea what's happening.
This is not an ARG that you're working on.
No. And it's not some people like, oh, you're just trying to get people to go over to the site for Game Informer's video player. It is in 1080 over there if you want to watch it over there, but no, it is some fluke thing from YouTube, and we'll try and correct it this time.
Weird.
Hopefully you're watching us in 1080-60 again. Anyways, Tyler from Greenwood, Indiana says, hey, what's up, GI? Anyways, Abby, I assume that it's connected to that issue. I don't know if the older model won't play SD or something like that, but I don't know. YouTube's being insane. I'm sorry. Tyler from Greenwood, Indiana says, hey, what's up, GI? Why does it seem like no one is talking about Dragon Quest XI? I realize it came out in Japan forever ago, but the Western release is right on our heels, and it seems like no one's talking about this game. I'm stoked. Is anyone in the office excited for it? I figured Kim and Joe would be losing their effing minds about it. Imran, you're wearing a shirt.
I am. Yeah, Dragon Quest XI is a complicated thing.
Hold on. Imran is wearing a Dragon Quest shirt.
Yes.
Yes.
Not just a shirt in general.
Yes, that's true. Okay, sorry. What was
Hanson, you're wearing pants.
Oh, thank God.
What's your take?
Basically, like, it's been so long since the game was first announced. It was like, I think it was announced for the Switch before the Switch even had a name.
Yeah.
Like, it was like the first NX game, period, announced. That version isn't coming at launch, at least. It might be another couple of years, so people who are looking forward to that are probably just checking out mentally.
Right.
Like, it's been so long since a console Dragon Quest traditional game, since like 2006, I want to say.
Plus, it came out like over a year ago in Japan, I think, at this point. So like that buzz has already faded.
This version's kind of like, it's been improved. Like, they've done Unreal Engine improvements to it, so it runs a bit better. But not many people are going to care about that. There's a thing where so usually when Dragon Quest games come over, they replace the soundtrack with an orchestrated version, which sounds a lot better. This time they're not doing that, and there's a lot of reasons why, but a lot of it comes down to the composer not wanting it to be. Like, use the orchestrated version in America because they want to sell CDs. It makes for a slightly worse product, and a lot of people are not happy about that.
Yeah.
There was a thing a couple of weeks ago where the composer was on Japanese TV, and he was with a conservative politician, and they were saying a lot of not great things about LGBTQ people in Japan.
Right.
So, like, Square Enix eventually had to respond to that, and they've been kind of quiet about the game since then. I don't know if it's related, but they're not really touting his involvement in the game that much.
Right. Which, for the composer, I don't know how much they would have been anyway at this point in the marketing cycle and stuff, but
he owns like a third of the series because Dragon Quest is very strangely split up. But yeah, he's very inexorable part of it.
Weird. I'm very much looking forward to it. I know it's going to be a long haul. From the Japanese version on the 8-4 Play podcast, we've had him on the show before. I know they were all really hot on it. Kim is playing it. She had this take. Not ready for a review yet. Here's her take. It's a big game with a lot of cool twists and callbacks for longtime fans. Very classic RPG as expected. The series hasn't evolved in its 30 years very much. But if you want that classic type thing on current gen and Steam day and date, which is very exciting, I'm still looking forward to it.
And when is Switch? Is it still up in the air or
someday?
Someday.
Like they didn't even start working on it, I think, until earlier this year.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because like there was a bunch of issues with getting Unreal Engine 4 to work on Switch properly, which is why stuff like Dragon Ball FighterZ got delayed past launch.
Yeah, as well. Okay, here we go. Here's the juicy tidbits. This is everything you want from an email.
The bits.
This is Jake from Bayonne, New Jersey. The Peninsula City, baby, he says. You got it. Hey, GI crew. Long time, first time. Thank you. I've been replaying Metal Gear Solid 5. Man, We've been talking a lot about Metal Gear lately.
Into that game.
I've been replaying Metal Gear Solid 5 and laughing all over again just how little Kiefer Sutherland actually speaks in the game and how apathetic the line readings are when he does. Look, Venom Snake is a tortured character. What do you want here, Jake?
More talking.
Oh, that's right. But he says, which made me start wondering what celebrity gave the flattest performance in video game history. Kiefer is up there, of course, as is Matthew Perry in Fallout New Vegas. I didn't even remember that one.
He was all about. He was part of the marketing for that. He was super,
Really?
He loves video. He's a
Wow.
huge gamer.
Yeah, it was so
And-
bad too.
And also Bill Murray in the Ghostbusters video game.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I always thought Ray Liotta went way above and beyond in Vice City, as did Sam Jackson in San Andreas. And Michael Sheen always seems to be working overtime for what I can't imagine was a huge paycheck for Mass Effect. That's true.
Yeah.
He does a good
I
job
like
in Mass
his,
Effect.
yeah.
Best and worst. Who do you guys think of? Anything stand out on either side?
Worst? Dinklage in Destiny.
Oh, very good.
And also the other things that he's in.
Anytime he's in front of a microphone, actually, it might be the worst.
Yeah.
Who was the Kingpin in Daredevil? What's his name?
Oh, Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, he's in Dishonored 2 as one of the big baddies, and it's the worst VO performance in a game
Oh,
I've
really?
ever heard.
Really?
You know who else
Like,
is-
who was it in Dishonored 1? It was Susan Sarandon?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she just sounds so bored.
Hers
As
was
Granny
weird.
Rags.
Yeah. Okay, so best and worst. Huh?
The on the best front, I thought of this is just recent in my mind, but in Madden's long shot mode, they have
Yeah.
Coach Coach Bill Cowher. Does anybody want to help me out? Anyways, an
Sounds
NFL
right.
coach. But he gives a great performance. He gives this big speech and it's super natural. It's like, why is this coach so good at acting? Maybe they tried out every NFL coach and Cowher is the only one who really came through in the end there. But worst, like celebrities stretching it. But Leo, I would run over there and kiss you on the mouth if you could pull this up. I didn't give you any heads up on this, but fucking Buzz Aldrin at the end of Mass Effect is so bad. This is, okay, spoilers for the very, very end of Mass Effect 3. Like, there's a little post-credits thing. It's fair to do at this point, right?
Yeah.
It's context free anyway. So.
Yeah, okay. This is Buzz Aldrin in Mass Effect.
Did that all really happen?
Yes, but some of the details have been lost in time. It all happened so very long ago.
When can I go to the stars?
One day, my sweet.
What will be there?
Anything you can imagine. Our galaxy has billions of stars. Each of those stars could have many worlds. Every world could be home to a different form of life.
Oh, boy.
And every life is a special story of its own.
Tell me another story about the shepherd.
It's getting late, but okay. One more story.
Honk shoe, honk shoe. Buzz Aldrin, everybody. American hero. Just don't make an old man act.
Yeah, the
I'm
worst
so
part.
baffled on why they did that, and they want people looked at it and were like, yeah, this is fine. We can go through with this.
Well, no, but what else are they going to do? Be like, Buzz, you're blowing it, dude.
Yeah, the worst part about that is conceptually you can see it happening when it's like,
Yes.
hey, let's get Buzz in here. He'll do the Peter Falk bit from
yeah.
Princess Bride.
That's cool.
It'll be great.
Yep.
And then it just goes to shit.
Like,
And
oh,
no-
shit, he's an astronaut, not an actor.
Why did anybody tell us?
Wrong A.
Even like
Profession.
in 30 Rock, like I think he's fine for like that
He's,
scene
like,
where he's like
shaking his
screaming
fist
at
at
the
the
moon,
moon.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Like he just needs to be doing something over the top, not this subtle emotional reflecting on the universe stuff.
Okay, to be fair though, yes, that bit's bad, but Mass Effect has, and I know we talked about Michael Sheen, but Mass Effect has a lot of great celebrity performances. I really like Seth Green as Joker. Like, I feel like he does a pretty damn good job. Like,
You're totally right.
Yeah, and they have like half of the Battlestar Galactica cast.
Right, all
in
of them
Mass
are great.
Effect.
And Freddie Prinze Jr.
Trinity's
Yeah,
fine.
Freddie Prinze Jr.'s
Right,
holy
good.
shit. He's good in anything, right? Like in any like video game
Scooby-Doo.
role.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about Scooby.
Also Keith David, but you can't get a bad performance of Keith
yeah,
David.
Keith David.
true.
That's cheating. Keith
He could
David.
stub his toe and give a good performance.
Also, like Jack Black in Brutal Legend. That was
yeah,
really good.
yeah, you're totally right. That's great.
Which of the Spider-Man games was it that had actually Tobey Maguire?
Two.
Too.
too. Yeah,
That was rough.
it was him in that game, which is not great, and also Bruce Campbell at tutorials, which was good. That was like
Yeah, that
great
was
voice
fun.
acting.
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst just really went all out. You could, I think she blew her vocal cords out during the Spider-Man 2 performance.
showed up.
Ooh, bad is William Dafoe in Beyond Two Souls. Ooh. Willem Dafoe.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
Defoe was fine in that game. Everyone else besides him and Ellen Page was bad.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, Clancy Brown's the only good part of Detroit.
And Andromeda.
Lance Hendrickson's pretty good too.
And
Okay.
SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, I forgot he's in there. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of actors going around.
Oh wait. To wrap it back around to SpongeBob and video game people, Pearl. That's the voice of the boss, right?
Oh yeah, the character Pearl from
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Oh, is it voice of the boss?
Yeah.
Voice all three? Oh, cool.
Yeah, she does a lot of voice work. She's
Trivia.
Very good. Blake from Lexington, Kentucky. Great town. Says, Dear Ben, long time lover of the podcast. Thank you. I was listening to another podcast. What the hell?
What?
And you're
I am-
reading this now?
I am sorry. No.
Now you gotta read it.
He says, I
Ben
was listening
Hansen
to-
really ripped the paper, and now he has to
Thank
read
you.
it.
I was listening to another great podcast called This American Life and would have
Okay,
sworn
that's fine.
up and down that Dan Tack was on the newest episode talking about comic book heroes. The person was introduced as Jonathan Morris, but he sounds exactly like Dan Tack. Am I crazy? Leo, do you have this starting at 37 minutes, 35 seconds? This American Life from NPR?
Comics that do not quite measure up to those super standards.
I'm trying to find a very good one. I've brought a ton of comics with me. Let's see. We've got Captain Marvel, who's one of the characters featured on the website. His amazing power is that he can split, by which we mean his limbs fall off and then flail
Very
around.
close. It's very good,
Hopefully
Dan
Wait, is this
Tack.
that Overwatch
Beating
announcer?
up the crowd.
No, that
I'm not
Overwatch
kidding.
announcer is also close. Wait, Imran,
He
you say it's
says
not
split,
close?
His arms, legs, and
I'm not
hands
hearing-
fall off,
I'm
and
hearing
he
this
screams,
from Dan.
"Yow, I popped apart."
This is actually Dan in the control room.
And
You
with the
can't
word
see him,
Zam,
Imran, but he's actually...
returns to normal.
Wow.
Yeah,
No,
if he was
that's-
just more aggressive and forceful talking about systems in a game, that is Dan Tack.
No, that's not sultry enough.
Yeah, you're right.
Sultry.
He doesn't even get Dan. Hey there, GI Podcast crew. It's me, David Milner.
Hey.
You asked for me to write in. You got it. Here I am, David Milner, writing in with Australian wit and video game questions. That's me, old Dave. Here's my
Sounds made
question.
up.
Question 1. Here's a little Game Informer choice for you.
Should you
for
be doing
me.
this in Aussie accent
Dave-
though?
Oh yeah.
Dave, size of a tangerine. Size of a tangerine. All right, little choice for you: PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Oh, Nintendo or Sega?
Nintendo.
Okay, John Williams or Jerry Goldsmith?
My God, are we reading question of the week right now?
Anyways, question 2: have you, the members of GI, ever pretended to be someone you're not? Like, for example, this one time I pretended to be an Australian Game Informer employee to get my question read on the podcast. Love you. Keep up the good work. Jack Adelaide from South
That explains why the
Australia.
accent's so bad.
Oh, he got us.
Damn it, Jack. Anyways, David Milner, please write into the podcast.
Please really write it.
Podcast at
Would
GameInformer.com.
the real David Milner please stand
You can
up?
talk about your Miyazaki interview that went on the site or something.
Yeah, whatever you want, dude. Please. Nick in Marietta, Georgia says, let's play a game of
I
guessing.
used to live there.
Really?
Yeah, Marietta.
Did you leave your mark anywhere in town you could go check out?
Nah,
Any graffiti of your face in town or anything?
You leave some
No.
shoes outside?
probably.
Hanging over some... Okay, anyways. Nick says, let's play a game of guessing the odds. What are the odds that Assassin's Creed Odyssey will have the Battle of Troy with the Trojan horse?
30-80.
30-80.
Can I do a percentage? That's easier for me.
Oh, Leo Vader, you know a lot because it's our cover story right now, Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
We cut that question from the rapid fire.
Oh
video.
my God!
They said it if it happened, it was before the time period their game takes place in. That's
Wow.
what's their answer.
Okay, so the odds are 0%.
Or they're lying.
I don't
Liars.
think, I don't
There's
think
a
that's in the
Medusa
game.
in the game. You could just do whatever you want.
That's a good point.
What is that? Okay, so there is a Medusa.
Mhm.
Suriel played it. All right, maybe we talked about it earlier in the podcast, which we're recording later. Anyways, Fallout 76 will only have a few bugs at launch. Odds.
Not
Zero.
high.
As
Zero.
likely as Troy being in
Correct.
Assassin's
Correct.
Creed.
What are the odds that Spider-Man will release on other consoles? 0.
Zero.
These are
Zero.
very easy so far,
Yeah,
Nick.
Sony owns that license, right?
Actually,
I mean,
hang on. Let's keep this going. What are the odds that Dan Tack has minimal back hair? 0%.
0.
I can say that with utmost confidence. What are the odds PlayStation will have a Game Pass in 2019?
they already have
Yeah.
one?
No, but more like the Xbox Game Pass,
Where
where
it's
it's
like
like building
current.
up the library.
Yeah,
Instead of just
I mean, they're
recycling.
going to lean on PS Now before they ever do Game Pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not high.
Okay, all right. So we're going with 10. What are the odds Nintendo Switch Online service is worth it and it goes smoothly at launch?
50-50.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it'll be smooth. I don't know if it'll be totally work. I mean, it's currently active. It like works currently. They're
Okay.
just gonna start charging for it.
Xbox.
Like $20 a year, like you can break it down with family, I guess, but
Yeah.
depends on what NES games are released. If there's a lot of good ones, then great. But if it's the same one, if an Urban Champion is on there, then no.
Yeah. What are the odds that Xbox makes a compelling exclusive on the level of God of War by 2021?
High.
0.
They
By
bought-
2021,
By 2020. So what's
0.
that? 3 years?
they're not topping God of War within 3 years.
They bought that one studio that I like, who made God of War also, but a different
Ninja
version.
Theory.
Ninja Theory.
Made God of War. Also.
He meant DMC.
Oh, Hellblade.
No, I meant God
Oh,
of War. I
okay.
was talking about Hellblade.
Right.
But for that reason, I don't think it's 0.
I don't think Hellblade's coming out in 3 years, though.
50-50.
Okay. Jeez. That seems very generous. What are the odds
They
PlayStation...
bought like 4 studios.
Yeah, but they don't have that many.
They don't make
many
the kind of
years.
games that Sony make.
I mean, that's
Honestly,
true.
like they're not going to spend 6 years on a single player game. It's not going to happen.
Right, exactly. They might spend 3 years, and it's not going to hit that level of God of War at that point. But prove me
Fine.
wrong,
Fine.
Microsoft. Prove me wrong. PlayStation. What are the odds PlayStation tears down the Berlin Wall of cross-platform play by 2019?
50-50.
I think that's
I
fair.
think they're getting a lot of
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah, they need more. But what are the odds that Bethesda is the company that forces PlayStation's hand at cross-platform play?
50-50.
Bethesda, 15. Sure, that'd be great. But if Epic can't do it, I don't know who has more sway than Epic right now in the games
Yeah.
industry.
It's going to be like a combined effort of like Epic, EA, Bungie, Activision, and Bethesda at best.
Yeah.
There will be a game that is first to feature it, but you can't necessarily award like that developer for being the ones who did
Sure.
it. You know.
What are the odds that Red Dead Online comes out before the end of the year?
50-50.
I hadn't even considered this. Have they said that it's not going to be there at launch?
They haven't.
I think maybe he means like a GTA Online kind of thing.
Right.
How separate was that?
Which-
That was just 2 weeks.
that was
right?
just like a month at most.
I think
pretty
it was
high.
a couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
I don't
they
think there's
didn't-
any way that game design doc does not have the words Red Dead Online at launch on it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think it'll be out there right away.
Really?
I think we
think
got
so.
Red Dead Royale before we get Red Dead Online.
I think it's all one big package, dude. What are the odds Shadow of the Tomb Raider will be the last one for at least 5 years? Is it going to get Deus Ex'd?
Well,
So,
they've-
I mean, it's complicated because Crystal Dynamics is going to be working on Marvel stuff for a while.
Yeah. But Eidos
So I don't
Montreal...
think we're going to see too much Tomb Raider in the future.
Well, Eidos Montreal is making this one, and so...
They are, but they are also going to be working on Marvel stuff after this.
Yeah, and in terms of like, what do you want to put your development muscle behind? That's a safer bet. I don't know.
And
Are
they've
we all
said-
feeling a little pessimistic about Shadow of the Tomb Raider? Where's everybody at?
What?
It looks
what?
cool, but it comes out in 2 weeks and I feel nothing for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in Imran's camp.
You feel pissed?
Pessimistic.
Not pissed,
Oh,
like nothing.
pessimistic.
I'm pessimistic about it.
I don't know. I feel like if they actually wanted to be interesting, they should have had a grizzled, like old lady Laura
They're
Croft.
telling the origin story. They can't
No,
just jump to the
They
end.
told the origin story twice.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Just picture her with the Kratos spear just walking around.
that'd be awesome.
Girl. Only 2 more games will get a perfect 10 score this year. What are the odds?
I mean, there's some contenders, right?
Not high. I feel like there's might be one.
Yeah, I think I'm in the camp too. What are the odds new consoles are announced in 2019? High. Not released till
Yeah.
2020 is still my
Not-
guess, but
Not
I mean,
eager
they've
for
already
new
been like
consoles.
Microsoft has straight up just said we have a new console coming.
yeah, you're
If
totally
they
right.
if you're talking about like games and names, I don't think we say those till 2020.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then here's an interesting one. What are the odds 2019 will be a better year for games than 2018?
50-50.
Kind of low. I'm on
I'd
the
say-
lower
I'd
side.
say
of that.
20%.
It's a good year.
Yeah.
I mean, Q1's already like it has Sekiro and Devil May Cry in the same month.
Yeah, and then in theory Last of Us hitting that year.
Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah, sure.
You guys are convinced.
I mean, people are really fucking hyped for that game, man.
Yeah. I'm hyped for how often you swear.
I
Maybe
know. I
right till
felt
the
bad as soon as I said.
I think that's
I'll
really
try not
fun.
to say anymore. I'm sorry.
Cool. Okay, what do you guys like for question of the week?
I really like the voice acting one. I feel like that one got the most out of us in terms of like
Yeah, you're right.
enthusiasm and like I think we were like fighting for answers.
I liked
Yeah.
when David Milner wrote to us.
Yeah, that was pretty fun when he finally wrote in. All right.
Feels like a cheat.
Voice actor is good. I like
Yeah,
voice
I
actors.
also really like voice actors. Okay, here it is. This is Bayonne, New Jersey. The Peninsula City is now God City, baby.
They did it.
Congratulations to everybody in all of New Jersey, but especially Bayonne. Let's learn about it on the next episode. Speaking of the next episode, this is the end of this episode. It's a weird recording schedule, so we're cutting it off. There's no final segment this week, but we'll make it up for you in the future. We'll have some fun stuff. But hey, everybody, thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Game Informer Show. And until next time, we'll see ya. Bye.
See ya.